Excellent.
Hi, my name is Doug. Um, I'm involved with both Modesto Cop Watch and Modesto Anarcho, which is a local publication that deals with working class struggles in Modesto and the greater Central Valley area. Um, a lot of what we do and organize around is police brutality and police murders. In the Modesto area and the greater Central Valley area, there's been numerous recent incidences of people getting killed by the police and different things that deal with police brutality. A lot of the stuff we organize around is people that have been killed by the police that want to organize against those murders. Also, just in general, just police repression. Right now, there's a lot of stuff going on in downtown Modesto with the redevelopment of the downtown and the pushing out of homeless people and poor people from the area. So we work around a lot with that. There's also a lot of other issues that are going around in the city itself. There's different gang injunctions. There's different pushes by the police to criminalize homeless people or youth. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of different tensions to kind of intervene in that we see. I guess starting with us, how we kind of see ourselves is that we see the struggle against police brutality to be a struggle against both the state and also white supremacy, a system which is like a cross-class relationship trying to create divisions within working class and poor communities to break them apart to give the state power. So kind of with that analysis, we try to kind of work around and uh, help people organize and fight against police brutality in their communities. A lot of the stuff that we do is help people organize rallies and protests. We also do like cop watch trainings, let people know what their rights are in dealing with the police, whether on the street or if they've been stopped or police in their homes. We put on a lot of different festivals. Some of the recent stuff we've done are like graffiti festivals. Um, we've done, last year we did a large event called Chicano Unity Day, which called for an end to warfare against brown communities, against each other. We've done different festivals that work around the gang injunctions in South Side and West Side. Um, so we're just trying to kind of create cultural space on top of like political activity, which deals with these issues. Um, a lot of the work that we've been doing recently is in solidarity with the Duenas family in Manteca. Ernest Duenas Jr. was killed in 2011 in Manteca, which is pretty close to here, and it's been really exciting to see kind of their struggle develop, and they've had a lot of people out to a lot of their events. They've done a lot of different actions. They've been protesting pretty regularly. And they've also done a lot of different marches and actions in their city. Also, we've been working really closely with um, James Rivera Jr.'s family, who are also featured in this film. They've also been very active, and they've also been one of the groups in the area that's kind of built a bridge between the Occupy Oakland and the Central Valley. So they've been putting on a lot of large demonstrations too that we've been involved with. As far as Modesto, we've worked with a lot of different families like Francisco Moran and Rita Elias, who were both killed in 2010 in September. We've also worked with other different families that have dealt with police brutality. Recently, we've been working with Anthony Nunez's family. He was arrested after there was a shooting in Westside Modesto. There was one of the shooters left a gun in his yard when they were running away, and the police basically framed him and said that he was one of the shooters and that the gun belonged to him, even though he had nothing to do with the shooting and he was inside during it. There's also eyewitness testimony, different people that watched and have already told the police that he was not involved. So we've been working with him, and he's still incarcerated in juvenile hall right now, and hopefully he'll be out soon. But those are some of the families we've been working with. I feel that one of the things that we've wanted to do is try to kind of increase the militancy and the intensity of these struggles and try to get them out of these sort of kind of like stand on the sidewalk, wave a sign and just kind of be really passive. And one of the ways we've tried to break out of that is last year in the fall we put on an event called the Caravan of Resistance, which went from Stockton to Manteca to Modesto, and was kind of working closely with the three families that we've been working with, which was Rita Elias' family in Modesto, the Dueñez's in Manteca, and the Rivera's in Stockton. And it was a moving caravan from each city, and there was a protest and march in each town, and it got bigger as we went to Modesto. And there was also a rally outside of the jail in Modesto where in the past year and a half about 6 people have died inside. So it's also trying to build a connection between people that are facing violence on the street and people that are facing violence inside, incarcerated. And it ended with a march that went from the downtown jail on the west side, and one of the goals we had is that we wanted people to feel comfortable taking the streets even though we didn't have a permit. And we feel that was very successful, and that kind of afterwards feel like a lot more people in the different localities that are working around these types of things definitely started to kind of up the ante. In Stockton, recently there's been continued actions around James Rivera, but also there's been 2 other people that have been recently killed, Luther Brown Jr. and also James Cook. James Cook was the 3rd person killed in Stockton this year, the 3rd African American man. And this summer things really kind of popped off in Stockton. There was a large demonstration that kind of shut the downtown down. Many Stockton police and also different local law enforcement agencies had to be called out.
Talk about Modesto.
Yeah.
He's been there. He's been doing great. He's doing real good now.
And then and that also included a lot of people from Oakland. It was also great to see a lot of tactics that were coming out of Occupy Oakland and Oscar Grant Plaza and all that stuff kind of coming into the valley, like people bringing shields, people covering their faces to avoid police surveillance. And recently, about a month later, there was another big demonstration. It was called the Stockton General Strike, that included a lot of people from Oakland that came out as well as Stockton. So it's also important to kind of build these connections, because a lot of times the media, especially in struggles in the valley, will kind of create this narrative of outside agitators, which is the same thing we saw in the Oscar Grant movement. That these people from Oakland are kind of coming in here to cause trouble, and it's not people in the valley that are really angry. But from what I've seen, definitely the issue of police brutality is something that is really rampant in the valley, and it's something that kind of unites a lot of people regardless of color. And also in Manteca recently there's been a lot of big actions. There was recently one to commemorate the life of Ernest Dueñez Jr. There was a march from where he was killed to the police station, and again it was through the streets. And it was great to see just people kind of for one, not only getting in the streets and not being scared about that, but also not being scared about the police kind of coming down to them. Especially the Dueñez's. There's a restraining order against Gabe Dueñez, who's one of the it's a relative of Ernest Dueñez, who there was a restraining order filed by the Manteca police against him. He can't even actually go onto the property of the police station. So they're definitely trying to kind of stop them from taking action. So yeah, there's definitely a growing body of people in the Central Valley that are not only angry and want to do something about police brutality, but I also feel that there's what's that?
A little louder.
Okay, there's also a lot of people that are becoming really good organizers and really solid community organizers that are able to talk to people and make connections with other people, whereas before people just kind of tried to hold a couple rallies and stuff and see what happened, and then when things ended they just kind of stopped and stuff, which is understandable a lot of times. But it's just great to see people really having a real desire and drive to connect with other people and kind of create the conditions which would stop these things from happening in the first place. I guess in closing, what I would want to say is I think that there in the valley that there's a big tension, or there's kind of two separate tendencies that have developed. That there's one push to kind of like institutionalize response to police violence, which kind of shows itself in being like pushing for citizen review boards or FBI investigations of police murders and stuff like that. And we've kind of seen that to just be, in my opinion, a real big failure in a lot of ways. I know in Fresno, for instance, there was finally a citizen review board that was put in place after a really long reign of terror by Chief Dyer. You know, like numerous people were killed under his department, and there's been a lot of different of just instances of either videotapes coming out or police brutality, especially against homeless people. And the citizen review board has just basically shown itself to be completely useless. Also in Woodland, there was Mr. Gutierrez, who was killed by an undercover gang unit. And there was a couple years ago, after he left the DMV, and there was a large push to get the FBI to investigate the murder. And again, it just kind of came back that they totally vilified the police. And we think that, in my opinion, that these kind of working within the system type routes are really pointless in a lot of ways, and that they don't yield results. And essentially what we need to do is kind of create the conditions where the police are not able to do these things in our communities. So to us, that means that you create a culture of cop watching, and also resistance too, that when the police interact with people, that they come out and they watch. They understand the police to be a force of occupation and violence in their communities, and they want to do something about it. And also, when things do happen, that people respond, and they make sure that there are consequences for the police doing these things in our communities. So I think that's kind of the vein that we've been trying to go in, and we've been happy with the way things have been developing. And we are excited that there are a lot of people that are organizing right now, and we hope that it continues. So I'm just going to stop it with that.